Hello, I'm Vicki. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be like weaving, rugs, sewing machines. Uh, and today I'm going to be weaving on my Weaver's Delight loom. I've had it since 1989, I believe. And I really like this loom. I don't use the fly shuttle. It's a fly shuttle automatic loom, and I don't use the fly shuttle. I did a long time ago, but it just doesn't work for me. I can feed a shuttle faster and weave faster. That I can use a pony to fill my cylinders and use the aluminum shuttles. That's what I have. So I just engaged the fly shuttle, but the arms on the loom are still here. I didn't decapitate it or nothing because it's part of the history of the loom. The only bad thing about the arms of the fly shuttle, I get caught on them all the time. My clothes is always catching. And I'll show you my loom, what I'm going to be working on. It has a number. It's 8013, and it was made in October 12th, 1953. It's a pretty old loom. As you see, these are the fly shuttles here, right here, where the cylinder would go through. There's the thing that works the fly shuttle. It's not rigged up to work. There's the back beam. The back beam is 1 yard round. So I put 30 yards on this loom. And it's really nice. It's a 4 harness. It's got cams. It's like, you know, when you have a sewing machine that has cams, it tells the machine what to sew. Well, this is set up just for the plain weave on the cam, so it tells this loom to just make the plain weave. And down here are the plain weave cams that help work the loom. There is no pedals on this. As you beat it, the harness changes. This changes. What makes it work to change is the cams down below. It has a brake. Well, it's like a tension brake. You got to constantly kind of adjust it while you're weaving, because as you beat, the beater, the back beam moves. And you want it to move slowly, because if it moves too fast, then your work comes forward too fast. And right now, I'm going to be doing a header. This rug that I'm going to be weaving is going to be a jean. It won't have, I won't have to tie it because it will be a hemmed rug. It won't have strings. So this is the header from the last rug I made. It's going to be hemmed, and it's 3.5 inches long this way. And it's just warp. There's 3 warp strings goes through at a time. And I got a little piece of yarn that will separate them, so I'll know the middle of it. This is my first video to be posted. I'm hoping I'll be some help. I'm not a professional. Don't know everything. I'm still learning stuff. Karen on my Facebook group was talking about hemming, and I learned how to hem from her just recently. So that was interesting. And I have 4 looms in my shed. They're all working. I have one up in the garage. It's working. It makes mug rugs. I have one down that way that makes placemats. And I have a continuous weaving loom. I just got it up and running after 5 years because it was so intimidating. I just didn't know if I could do it or not. And watched some YouTubes and videos, and I finally got it working. Um, so back in the day, though, when I wanted to weave, my mother-in-law always gave me rag rugs for Christmas, and I was always kind of crafty anyway, so I wanted to learn how to weave a rug. I didn't know nothing about it, didn't know nothing about a loom, but I searched and found one in Cumberland, Maryland. It wasn't together, didn't know if it worked. Got it running, and well, got it together, put it that way. And back then you didn't have YouTube and, groups and stuff like that to learn. So I had to word of mouth, see if there was any weavers, if anybody knew anybody that could teach me. And I was in Kenny's Market there in Westernport, Maryland. It's a little store. It's not there no more. And Linda, a lady, well, she was a girl, and she said, I told her about this loom, and she said, "Oh, my brother-in-law does. She took that up in college." So she said he would probably help me. He lived in Kaiser, West Virginia. So he came up and he showed me how to warp the back beam. That was my first project. I had to warp the back beam. And then he left. And then when I got that done, I called him. And then he came and then he helped me. He showed me how to go through the heddles and the reed, which is this. The heddles are right here. Right here, these are the heddles, and the reed's right here. So he helped me do that. So when I was done all of that, he came back and he showed me how to tie everything to the apron. And sorry about that. And anyway, he showed me how to do that. And it only cost me some beer. And we had to take a cat. So we got a cat out of the deal too. So that was my first experience in weaving back then. And then I found other weavers along the way. I found out there was a lady like 4 streets down from me that had a loom. She had a union loom. And she showed me some tricks and tips. And back then, a lot of people that wanted rugs did their own rags for the weaver. She got people that sewed their own rags and gave her the balls, and she would weave the rugs for them. And I guess back then, since she didn't have to do all that work, rugs were cheaper, because she wasn't cutting, sewing, And she said she had this one lady that got drunk a good bit, and she said the lady would cut and sew while she was drunk, and she said she even had she might have a roll of a bra in with the roll. You just never knew what she was going to have. Just a little tidbit what she told me. I forget her name. But anyway, and then I found other people that wove. Some was in Garrett County. I went to visit them. I went to Grantsville, Maryland. I met a lady that lived in Coney, Maryland. It's up from Barton, Maryland. She's passed now, but she had she didn't have a weaver's delight. She had a weaver's a Nuka number 3, I think. It only had a 2 harness, but I think it's basically the same as mine, except it was a 2 harness, and I don't think it wove patterns. I'm not sure about that. It's been so long ago, I can't remember. And so I'll do a header. And then I'm going to make a jean rug. I think I said that. And it's going to be, I want it to be like 48 inches long. So I'm going to make it like 52 inches long on the loom. in other videos, I want to show you the preparation too, because a lot of people ask me, well, how long does it take to weave a rug? Well, just to weave the rug, a 48-inch rug, about an hour, give or so. If you don't have no problems or anything like that, or a string breaks, you don't know. But they don't realize the warping of the loom. It takes me 3 days now. It used to only take me a day. I could actually do an empty loom in a day. Not no more. My back won't take it, so. So I warp it like, I do the back one day, I do the heddles one day and the reed, and then I'll tie on. But I normally don't have an empty loom because I leave it tied up. I cut it in the back and I just tie on to the strings. It's already going through my heddles and my reed. So it really cuts back the time that to prep your loom. And then after you get your loom all ready, you got whatever you're going to make cut up. You got to, if I have jeans, I de-seam them, cut them into panels, take off the pockets, the zippers, all that. So it's just one big panel of a jean. And I cut them in about 1 inch to 1.5 inch strips, depends on how thickness it is. So you got to cut your jeans, you got to cut them into strips, and I could spend 3 or 4 hours cutting jeans. And then after you do all the strips, you got to sew them. And after you sew them, you cut them apart, because I'll just keep sewing, it's just one long string, and I take the scissors and cut the strips apart and roll them into balls, or leave them in a basket and just roll from the basket, which I'm going to do here in a little bit. And then you can weave. And even after you weave, you got to cut your rugs off the loom. You got to either hem them or tie them. And I've worked up 15 sections on this loom, which is 24 threads a section. So I tie all that after the rug's done. Then after you're done all that, you got a rug. So it's a lot involved. You really got to like your craft to want to do this, because it is a lot of time. And someone said, oh, I bet it's exciting to weave a rug. Well, I'm really pleased with my product I make, and I'm anxious to get the rug off the loom when I make it, and I enjoy weaving. It's lonely out here. I'm by myself, but don't never have any company. Once in a blue moon, I might have somebody. I taught my niece Audrey how to weave a rug this spring, and I didn't have to help her that much. She's in college now, and she came in from Nebraska, Omaha, and I let her work on this loom. It's contrary. I'm not going to say it's not. It creaks and groans, and it has its own personality. And and I think she's a little afraid that she might break something. I told her, I said, don't be afraid of this loom. I said, it's old. It has its quirks to it, and each loom has its own personality. This one does. It tells you, I'm getting old now, And I told Audrey, I said, you can't hurt this loom unless you put it on fire, I said, it might make a lot of noise, and it might not want to go, or might get stuck a little bit, but I said, you can't hurt it any. And I got this loom in Westernport off a man, his last name was Miller. And I think I paid $100 for it back then. It was in a shed out back of his house. It had ice on it. It was a dead of winter. And I think it was, is his name Walter Tickle? Well, anyway, I'll correct myself. Sometimes I get names wrong. He was in Omaha, Nebraska, and he he still made these looms, and I bought spare, some parts for this because it wasn't quite working. And I wish I could have met him in person, but never got that chance. So, well, here we go. Okay, this is the header. This will be the start of the second rug on this loom. I think you can see. It's loud. It's noisy. It's a noisy loom. It makes a lot of noise. And you take your end string, you got to tuck it. And eventually I'll weave on each loom, and you can see how they weave. I'll keep measuring it until I get 3.5 inches. And then I'll start with my jeans. I wanted to create this channel for people that might have a weaver's delight or other looms. And I want to show people how you prep before you even weave. I had a lady come in my shed here, a couple months ago. She's never actually come in my shed. And she saw my looms, and I told her how many I had. Oops, sorry. I told her how many I had. And she thought they worked herself. Gave me a chuckle for the day. I guess you see, these machine looms, that mass produce. And I guess she thought that's what mine were. And I said, no. I said, I have to work my looms. It's work by me. I don't sit in a chair and plug them in and and they just go. That would be funny. But I think the biggest thrill is working the looms and being able to, thread them and work them. It's an accomplishment, especially the loom back there, that continuous loom. It kicked my butt. It took me 2 weeks to get it running, and I worked on it every day. I didn't know nothing about it, didn't have no help other than some videos on YouTube, which they don't really go into a lot of detail. Thankfully, the person who had it, I know she's deceased now, before she quit weaving, apparently she left everything. She cut it off from that back Creole rack. But she left the loom, she cut the warp off, but the loom was still threaded. She cut the warp off from that rack and left the loom threaded. And she actually used Mexican tape and duct tape and kept everything in place. And that really was a big help to me, because I saw how she wrapped it around the back beam, which is totally different than my other looms. How she threaded it. The threading through the heddles and the reed's not hard. I do that. I had to watch YouTube videos, though, to figure out how to warp, run this warp through that, down and under that Creole rack. But I did it wrong the first time. And after a week of working on it, I had to rip everything back off. That was a disappointment and a learning. I learned from that. But, all things were good. I got it warped, and I'm very happy with it. When I work on it, I'll tell you some things that, it's got some things, just like this one, that loom has a little, you work with it, and if you can't get it right, it's, you just work with it, like this one, it has its own little problems, and I just work with it, and, hold on a minute, I'm going to pause.